trends in the like of the future. And while we're waiting for everyone to join, we have no notifications for the stream, sadly. And yeah, people just guessing that we are live. Probably that's why I haven't saw your stream with Whale. And can't wait about this conversation. And to be honest, I'm super happy that we rescheduled it on hour later, because before that it was so hot in my country. I don't know how it's for you.
It's pretty warm. I only took about a step outside today. I definitely need to get some more sunshine. But it is pretty warm. It's been in like the mid 80s or so. Last week, I mean, during NFT NYC, I mean, don't get me wrong, loved NFT NYC. All the events that I went to were great. Super Chief absolutely killed it, being the art director for NFT NYC. Really, really hope to see the next things that he's doing as well. But yeah, last week it was like 9,500 degrees going into the city, so it was incredible. But it's cooling off a little bit. What about you? How hot is it by you?
It's deadly hot here. No events in my country. So I'm just sitting, and even if you go out for 10 minutes, you are dying. So I'm so happy that now it's pretty not cold, but comfortable weather. To speak with someone, you need to feel yourself good also. So I hope you're feeling yourself good. I know that you had stream before, so yeah, hope you still have this energy to talk.
Yeah, of course. Pretty much always do, as long as we're not past like 7 or 8 p.m. at night. I'm usually pretty good to go, and we're good. It's just it's 3 o'clock right now, so.
Any chance you can get a follow? Oh my God. Okay. I'm super excited about this conversations though, because at first, like from your first words, I understood like you're such a tech guy, and I can't understand everything that you're talking even. So I hope you will speak today in a more simple terms maybe for us. And yeah, please. I know that you're preparing a lot from your team, with your team, and I check everything that you send to me. Like this is huge that you're working on. And how this time for you? Because I see the mystery for me, because I see like a lot of teams, they are grinding, they're trying to mint out their collections, and not always now it's working out, especially because it's summer. We don't have like a lot of attention, people cheating, doing something. But at the same time, I noticed that some projects that not really popular, they are not on the timeline, they minting out like sold out full, and somehow they have the high prices and everything. So how this working in your eyes, and what trends you noticed like during this summer time?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, definitely a big trend for the summer is like a lot of engagement falling off because people are just getting busy and doing their own things, enjoying their life. So that's definitely a recurring trend, not just for NFTs, but like for markets generally. Um,
Mhm.
and then more specifically for NFTs, a lot of what's going on. I mean, this has always been a great way of going about your marketing, but building a culture and community behind the collection and the project that you're building. Really pulling in and like tying down those people, like metaphorically, because they have an emotional connection to whether it's an IP, or they really enjoy your game, or your product is very useful. There's some kind of psychological connection that keeps people hanging on and wanting to push it out themselves as well. So that is exceptionally powerful, especially when you're in like a slower time like the summer, when attention is shifted and fragmented. So can definitely say that, like, for people that are building right now and do intend to mint like in the near future,
Mhm.
focusing on your your core community, building that out, getting them on board, and then helping them to spread the word, or having them help spread the word, is very powerful. It's like it's like mass numbers, on socials, and then they tell their friends, and then their friends get interested. So
Mhm.
those things are very, very powerful, all the time, but even more so when the market gets a little bit slower.
Yeah, and I see a lot of delays of mint, and I think it's like probably good for the projects, to have more time to prepare and everything. Have you noticed it in Mintify? Like a lot of project delayed right now, mints, or everything is usual? And which projects right now you notice like they are minting out with what audience, with what attitude towards their community and people?
Yeah. So it's definitely a little bit nuanced, and it definitely also plays into the, you know, what I had mentioned with cultivating like a really strong community behind whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
Um, so for instance, some of the super successful, like two super successful drops from the past like month or two, Dreamelia and Fugs, both on Abstract,
Mhm.
they had done pretty much that exactly. You know, they spent months building up core, like a foundational community, a community that supports them, that wants to see their success, and now that their bag holding is like, you know, kind of part of their success. The more attention that those IPs get, you know, the more attractive it is on secondary markets, more people come in, and those people win. At the end of the day, especially over the summer, but at the end of the day in Web3, we haven't really reached that critical mass where there's enough people coming in that are just interested in holding something. There's a financial incentive to pretty much everything. You know what I mean? So it definitely all plays in, and when you have that really strong community, it helps to sell out. It helps to amplify your presence on social media, increases perception, and all of that kind of like, you know, comes together to create like almost a little bit of like a perfect storm for selling out despite the market conditions kind of being, you know, not in your favor. So
Hmm.
I guess the way that I could break that down and say is like definitely take your time. You can't rush marketing. You can't. I mean, I guess to a degree you could throw dollars at it, but realistically, it doesn't work sustainably if you're just, you know, throwing money at it and rushing. It needs to be done really organically and naturally.
You said like projects right now, like we have more people right now who is focusing more on holding than trading NFTs. So is it true? Because I noticed like we have a problem with liquidity right now, and mostly projects using the same audience from each other. So we end up holding a lot of projects, and users not always can sell them because they will be ashamed. Like they don't want to lose connection with this community. At the same time, they earn nothing from these communities, and they earn nothing from these NFTs. So don't we have this problem with liquidity right now in NFTs? Or as you said, like we have a lot of people who are ready just to hold and that's it. How it's actually, from the inside probably. So tell us, please.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both. So there's definitely an incentive right now. In addition to like the individual project incentive, some of them definitely do have those.
Mhm.
But there's also the incentive of holding for abstract XP, which of course, you know, they're distributing every Tuesday, and I believe there's some kind of, you know, mechanics that they're using based on the assets that you're holding and stuff like that. And then also, of course, you know, your interactions with you know, smart contracts on abstract, and you know, purchases and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely seeing a lot of people, you know, just holding because you know, because they want to stack that abstract XP. And you know, it is also like a little bit a nice little intro to get these people into the communities so that they kind of develop more reasons to stay rather than just the abstract XP. So definitely seeing that. And as for the, you know, are most people looking to hold or most people looking to trade and its impact on liquidity? Liquidity is definitely um, it's definitely something that, you know, we're all it's like a recurring theme that liquidity is super fragmented. There's a lot of liquidity on this chain, a little bit on this chain, you know, a lot on this one collection, a little on this other collection. So that is definitely something that Mintify is, you know, looking to, I wouldn't say there's a solution for it, but improve the user experience of. So
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, so like for instance, being able to go ahead and do anything on abstract with any token, and doing it from, you know, from the location that you want. So you know, being able to go ahead and trade certain things. Say you don't have abstract ETH, you can, you know, you only have like base ETH or something. Being able to buy that abstract NFT with your base ETH. Being able to buy abstract meme coins with like meme coins on other chains. So the liquidity doesn't necessarily have to exist on that chain. It's about making it accessible to the users where they want to use it. So that's definitely very important. I know that Mintify is not the only one doing things like this, and we're definitely going to see lots of, if not every product start to expand like this, because it is a matter of fact that liquidity is very fragmented. And you can't just, you can't just force liquidity to go somewhere. You can incentivize it, or you can make it so that, that's how the user experience works. That liquidity is kind of neutral. It can be executed anywhere, no matter where it is. And that's like what really will unlock the liquidity everywhere. You know what I mean? If you can take liquidity from another chain and deploy it onto whatever chain you're looking at, you don't have to worry about the liquidity that's on that chain, because you can bring it from another chain very easily.
I love it so much, to be honest. So many good takes you said, and I don't even know from what should I start. And I like this cross-chain attitude, to be honest. And like for example, OpenSea now doing pretty the same. And I love that on one platform you can like trade coins, or like switch some tokens and everything. It's pretty comfortable to have everything on one platform. So yeah, like shout out to Mintify to doing the same, and yeah, giving this experience to the users and switch liquidities, because I really think that it's very important. Maybe you can. You said we give. Abstract giving XP for more holding NFTs, for trading NFTs and everything. Do you have some insider information for what
No.
exactly we have more XP? Because I know that a lot of people like, well, how to gain more. No?
No, I don't have any insider information. I just know that they curate it. They want it to reward real people. They don't want to reward like inorganic or fake activity, or wash trading or
Yeah.
civils. So I can definitely just say that they're definitely paying attention to your activities on the chain, whether you're interacting with DApps, playing games, swapping, trading perps, holding tokens, holding NFTs. The abstract team is definitely very actively monitoring all those activities.
Yeah.
So yeah, no insider information, but enjoy your time on abstract. Like, do what you want to do and interact with the chain, and you should be earning XP for that.
Talking about blockchains, like you probably know the best of all that projects often jump from one blockchain to another blockchain, trying to do everything. And I want to ask, like, what blockchain, in your opinion, right now, the most the better for the minting? Because, for example, we heard before like a lot about abstract, but Monad had like the most transactions on their blockchain. So what hidden trends we don't see right now, and what blockchain, in your opinion, better now for minting out collection?
That's a good question. So I think so you had mentioned Monad.
Hmm. I know that now they have like pretty bad reputation and everything. Like I saw some yeah drama on the timeline, but still, yeah.
Yeah,
We have
completely.
like even from the user experience, I feel so much like not now maybe, but a few months ago, it's such a former, because a lot of new blockchains appear, L2, like L3, and everything like story, like I don't know, like say Sui and everything. So how to choose the right blockchain right now?
Yeah. That's definitely, there's layers to that. Let me see how to break this down most easy, or most fluidly. For one, definitely fitting in with whatever product that you're building with the chain that you're looking at. So, for instance, abstract's targeting consumers. So if you're building a consumer application, it's definitely a great place to be, because that's the direction the chain itself is pushing in. So you can have a higher degree of confidence that those are the users that the chain is going to be onboarding, which are the users that the would be users of your application.
Mhm.
Um, base is another great one. I mean, the base has like all different types of things going on, and they're kind of like I wouldn't say that they're necessarily targeting just consumers. I also wouldn't say they're necessarily targeting like just institutions. It's like it's a nice mix. Um, Ape Chain is doing lots of really fun stuff with gaming and communities, and they do have D apps as well. And then you also mentioned like SUI and say things do get a little bit more complicated when we're talking about like non-EVM chains as well, because that requires like completely that requires a lot of foresight or forethought, I guess, or whatever the word is, really considering it very heavily in advance. Because when you go to an EVM, everything's pretty straightforward. Most people are most developers are familiar with working with EVM, but then I believe SUI.
Mhm.
Somebody please do correct me. If I'm wrong, I believe SUI uses Move, which is a completely different programming language. So like if somebody is going to be targeting SUI, they need to really consider that in advance, because their infrastructure is going to be completely different than if they were building on EVM.
Can you please explain a bit more about this?
Um, so when we start getting into the super technical stuff, that's a little bit outside of my scope. I'm not a developer. I am the COO. So like I have a high level of understanding of the technical stuff,
Mhm.
product design, community, socials, high level of pretty much everything. But when we're talking about like nitty gritty technicals, that's a little bit outside of my outside of my scope. What
Mhm.
I can though is definitely look at your chain options in terms of the kind of product you're building, um,
Mhm.
and prioritize the chains that align with you there. Then you can also definitely like look at like network activity. You can look at individual addresses on the chain. You can look at transactions on the chain. Definitely would um, not consider those like outright, because you know, for instance, if somebody wanted to spin up something on an L2 just to inflate the number of transactions, and not by no means am I saying the chain does this, but I could if I wanted to, vibe code an application that does 1 million transactions, and that would spike the chain's daily transactions. So like you need to consider these things with kind of like a grain of salt and weigh them all together, to really pick which one is best for you. But I guess
Mhm.
another really powerful element to it is how much support you're going to get from a protocol level. And
Mhm.
I've seen lots of talk about like, getting protocol support isn't all that important. If you have a great product, people are going to use it anyway. While that is true to a degree, there's also a ton of noise in crypto. There's so many,
Yeah.
excuse my language, but like BS projects that are there just to extract, that don't have any real kind of product market fit, that don't really have plans, but they're making a ton of noise and capturing a lot of attention.
Mm.
So having that protocol support is very useful for helping the timeline and generally the market participants to kind of filter out the noise and be able to focus on what you're building. So like if you get in touch with Abstract, if you're launching something like on Abstract, a game, you can get in touch and you get in touch with their team, and they look at your project, what you're building, and they're comfortable. They may decide that they're happy to support, and provide that protocol level of marketing support. That is very, very helpful. Again, it's not like a deal breaker. You can have a lot of success, and you can become the number one D app without protocol support. But it is helpful, and I would probably consider that along with the other items that I mentioned when determining like which chain. So
Mm.
that also comes down to like what you mentioned with like projects like hopping to different chains and whatnot. I think there is a difference there. Like there's a distinction there. Difference in terms of being on a chain and having that chain align with your product and getting protocol support versus hopping between chains and like farming grants. One of those, the former, is completely acceptable in my opinion. You want to be where your product is going to find the most success. You know what I mean? Rather the latter, jumping between chains because each new chain is willing to offer you a grant. That's not nice. That's wrong. You're kind of extracting from the VCs at that point, and maybe people aren't. Maybe the users are like, "Ha, we're flipping the script on the VCs." It's also not very nice of a thing to do, and it doesn't really speak very well to like the product and the team itself.
Mhm.
When they're hopping around, trying to find success in all the chains and accepting all these different grants, whatever it is. And I'm definitely not speaking about anybody specifically. I'm kind of just like laying out a couple different ways of what that might look like.
Mm.
Um, And then there's another level to that actually for multi-chain applications. Like Mintify is multi-chain, and by no means are we the only ones. Um,
Hmm.
we support what 14 different chains now.
Oh my
Abstract,
God.
yeah, Abstract's one of them, and we do spend a lot of time working with Abstract projects. So
Mhm.
by no means do we like deploy on another chain and then forget about the other chains. No, we deploy on a new chain and that adds it to our stack, and we're paying constantly the same amount of attention to all of them, and that's actually why we're in the middle of scaling up right now, our team.
I
Um,
really love it. Hmm.
so
Can I
yeah,
can I ask some alpha from you?
of course.
Probably you know all the news from the market much earlier than we all, and you probably know about some new blockchains that preparing themselves, like Anima Chain, right? Something else, maybe. Maybe you can tell us. Yeah, maybe we need to choose something new, some new blockchain for minting out our collections. And what's your observation about this?
Yeah, there's definitely always new chains coming out. A lot of them are part of that noise, but there are definitely a select group of chains that have extreme potential, and also great backers and supporters that help them push them to the next level. Um, but for instance, like Sofon's mainnet is live recently. Mintify launched as the launch partner for NFTs on Sofon. So
Hmm.
you're going to see lots of mints actually starting later today, I believe. One of them is launching a Soulbound token collection, kind of like a pre-sale. Nameless is launching tomorrow, and then I believe Remulux is launching in just the next few days as well, um, and even more of them to come there. So Sofon is definitely one of them. Another one is Oasis that we actually just announced a partnership with yesterday. Oasis is a high performance layer one from very very much more popular in the West, and we're bringing the support to it to our primarily not entirely Eastern audience. So definitely looking to expand not just Mintify's ecosystem and audience, but also Oasis's with that integration. So people are going to see that go live soon. Oasis is definitely an awesome chain. They're doing something pretty interesting, how they enable scaling. So they have like their core layer one, and then they have what they're calling verses, which are like their layer twos, where each project or select projects can deploy their own layer two, so that their network it's on Oasis, but it's isolated in the sense that it doesn't need to share like bandwidth from the network. So it allows for everything to stay very fast. So those are two, Sofon and Oasis. Another one is Morph. Morph's been around for a little bit longer, but definitely think there's a lot of potential there as well. We did launch an integration for Morph just the other day, and I actually have a Spaces with Morph tomorrow. There's a pretty cool game that actually just launched on Mintify's launchpad on Morph, and it's a fun little racing game, super affordable mint. But I'm not here to shill things. So another chain, Sonium's awesome. Sonium is from Sony Block Labs Solutions, I
Like
believe.
Sony.
Yeah, it's from Sony.
Oh, that's
But it's
interesting.
like it was released by I guess it would be a subsidiary of Sony. It's not officially from the Sony brand, but it's from a company that's owned by Sony. You know what I mean? So technically, yes, it's by Sony, but Sony isn't posting about it themselves.
They still afraid of losing their reputation connecting with crypto and like government centralization stuff, or why it's like not like direct Sony company. How you see this?
Um, Honestly, I don't know for a fact, but if I had to guess, it's probably something having to do with corporate, structure and whatnot, just so that it's all organized, properly. Just because like in real world, like, tons and tons of things are pushed out by like, subsidiaries of the main company, and they're like, oh, it's from the main company. You know what I mean? So maybe in the future we'll start seeing like Sony really push that out from their name brand. I would think that they have the full potential to, and like um, but corporate, legal, all these things would definitely come in the way. I know all about the
Yeah.
juggling of respecting our lawyers. Our legal team, DMs me and they're like, this is exactly how something has to be, and I don't question it. Like, what the lawyers tell me is how it happens, because they know the law and compliance far better than I do, and I'm sure that's kind of a position Sonium is in. You know what I mean? And it makes sense. I mean, Sony is a global company. Where I don't I have no idea offhand, but I'm sure billions of dollars. That they have to make sure that they're maintaining their credibility for, that they're maintaining that entire kind of corporate presence.
That's interesting. With all these new blockchains and new mechanics, and probably they will be even more cheaper, even more, technologically, fresh and everything. Do you think like EVM has the future? And right now, still, the most like valuable, if you can say so, project they're choosing, old EVM like Ethereum, the minting projects there. Do you think with all these new blockchains, it has future, or it will be like slowly less popular?
No, I do. And actually, there's even a
Thank God.
couple.
Oh my God. Thanks God you said you do.
Oh, yeah, no, I do.
Mhm.
I think that, and again, like I'm not a developer. I'm not a blockchain developer. I'm not incredibly technical on a refined level. So please do take what I say here, slightly with a with a grain of salt. If there's a developer watching, they might be like, "Oh, you're kind of wrong here." But for instance, just what yesterday, Robinhood announced that they're introducing an on-chain, tokenized stock product. So their users are going to be able to trade tokenized stocks like
Mhm.
OpenAI and
That's so
SpaceX and
cool.
Nvidia. Yeah, and they're going to be doing that on Arbitrum. Now, I don't know if that is on Arbitrum Layer 1, or no, I guess Layer 2, because Arbitrum's a Layer 2, or if they're going to be spinning off a Layer 3 on Arbitrum, or how exactly that's going to work. But the fact that Robinhood is coming in and launching their own on-chain, tokenized stock trading product on Arbitrum definitely speaks to the confidence that they have, being a multi-billion dollar institution, that
Mm.
EVM does have a place. And that's not the only one. I mean, I believe what was it? I believe JP Morgan is launching a stable coin on Base. I think that was announced last week. Coinbase is integrating Base decentralized exchange pools, liquidity pools, so that Coinbase users are going to be able to trade right out of DEXs on Coinbase. So yeah, I mean, definitely have a strong belief that EVM is not going anywhere. That it will have a strong presence in the future of crypto. But I do think that there probably will be, and this is where the some developers in the audience might be chiming in. There probably are upgrades and changes that need to be made to a degree so that they can actually scale with like real life environments.
Mhm.
For instance, like Robinhood probably needs something like like a few thousand transactions per second,
Mhm.
in order to not, in order to be able to provide the user experience that they need. Now, I am aware that there are like off-chain methods of like storing things and then pushing them on chain at a later date. This goes above my head, but I can definitely say that I know, and it's kind of like it's kind of like common sense or common knowledge that like consumer applications are going to need very high TPS, because you have hundreds, thousands, potentially millions of people using your product at the same time. And if they're all doing, a transaction every couple seconds, then you have thousands of transactions a second. The chain itself needs to be able to support that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's where EVMs, like I don't know if it's really a bottleneck, but for lack of a better word, like bottleneck is right now. That said, obviously, institutions don't really perceive that as something that's preventing them from adopting it. If Robinhood is moving forward on Arbitrum, which it very much seems like they are, they did their test transaction for OpenAI stock on Arbitrum yesterday. Seems like they're pretty damn confident, So yeah, it's hard for me to disagree with Robinhood. That said, other chains like Sui, again, which I believe is Move, and then Solana, which is SVM. um, they have their own use cases, and I don't see a reason why they're going anywhere either. I believe actually Sui. Please correct me if I'm wrong again, if to whoever might have a better understanding or knowledge than I on this. I believe Sui is partnered with Pokemon to
I
right.
heard it too. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Years
Pokemon
ago.
Home, I believe, is using Sui in the background to
Mhm.
tokenize their their digital trading cards.
Yeah.
So that's another, that's another, like, I guess you could say, like, institutional or corporate blessing for a non-EVM chain. So again, like, hard for me to disagree with a corporation as big as, like, Pokemon, with the experience that they have, with how careful that they've been not to put things on chain before they're ready. Like, everybody for the past 3 years been like, when Pokemon cards on chain, when Pokemon cards on chain. Well, it looks like it's finally happening, and it looks like that they chose Sui. Now we could definitely use like a formal announcement on that. I believe that people kind of extrapolated that from like the terms of service. I think
Mhm.
Pokemon Home like changed their terms of service, and it included the creator of like the Sui developers or something like that. And people like connecting the dots, and they're like, okay, so Pokemon Home is using Sui. Would
Yeah.
definitely be nice to have like a formal announcement, but that probably goes in line with something similar to Sonium, where they want to not really tell their users that they're using blockchain,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and I don't disagree there. There is still like a negative stigma for blockchain and on chain and whatnot, and that's just because normies just they don't understand. And again, this might not even be their fault, but they don't understand like the benefits that it brings to them. So I think what we're going to see a lot of corporations doing is integrating blockchain into their products, maybe releasing new products that are built on blockchain tech, and then not telling their users at all, or to a very very light degree, that they are actually on-chain assets. Rather, all the user has to know is that they own it. They actually maintain true ownership of the asset. They can sell the asset, they can transfer the asset, and it's all peer-to-peer. Now, how the company wants to break that down and make it very simple, that's up to them. The simpler, the better. But they don't have to. They don't have to say anything about blockchain for the user to understand the benefits that it brings them.
That's interesting. Okay. So my last question about blockchains, and we slowly go to Mintify and what you suggest to blockchains, to users and everything. And probably it will be one question, with many like, yeah, under questions. So, do you feel like blockchains will be collaborate with each other in the future and give to the user like experience on different blockchains? For example, we have token on one blockchain, we have like collection on like second blockchain and everything, and will be this Mintify, your platform is a platform for combine it all and make it comfortable for the user, so he don't need to jump from one blockchain to each other, from one wallet to another. And also, like, if you're telling like a lot of companies will be hiding they use what they're using blockchains, will you be also promote Mintify on non-blockchain audience?
Oh, absolutely. So I think there were two questions there. So like, will blockchains
Yeah,
work together
yeah.
to?
Sorry.
No, 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 don't worry about it. Do I think blockchains are going to work together in the sense of rewarding people? I'm not sure. So of course, like, at the end of the day, like, all of these chains, we may not see them as such, but they are all businesses. You know what I mean? They all have to drive revenue to stay alive. Because you run out of money, you can't run a business, the chain can't sustain. So, and a big point to their point system, for for pun not intended, is to drive adoption, which adoption drives protocol usage drives revenue, revenue keeps the business alive. So I'm not sure if we'll see, like, too much commingling of point systems, but I do think that blockchains will collaborate. Because of, similar to what we were talking about before about fragmented liquidity, how some chains have more, some collections have more, other collections have less, other chains have less. So, being able to, these chains, if they were to come together or align under a specific protocol that facilitates like all of the talking, that's very helpful. And of course, we do see that already. Like there are great protocols that are doing this kind of thing, like Layer Zero, like Wormhole, like Relay, and many more. But what I think would help a lot with this is if the protocols outright came out and were like incredibly supportive of this cross-chain environment. I'm not sure that that will happen to that extent because again, they need to they need to drive adoption and usage of their own chain.
Yeah.
But I think it would be beneficial to have some form of collaboration so that the experience on the user is better. So yeah, that's the first question. The
Mhm.
second one was, oh yeah, will we be promoting Mintify to non-Web3 audiences?
Mhm.
100 billion% yes. And that's especially because over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be launching, or maybe it's more like a month or two. We'll see. We're going to be launching several significant and notable projects that are more tailored in some ways to normies. So, for instance, we're going to be launching our chain abstracted wallet called Mintify Connect. Oh, actually, I think that's just kind of like a preview name. I think we're going to give it a better name later on. So yeah, users will be able to sign into Mintify, and they're going to be able to deposit any asset on any chain and use those assets on any chain without having to like think
I
about it.
love it.
So that's a great thing that we have coming. They'll
Mhm.
be able to onboard with USD, with credit card, with Apple and Google Pay. So for the normies, they don't even have to. They don't have to be like, oh, now I need to go to Coinbase and buy USDC and send that to my wallet. No, they'll be able to just sign in with Apple Pay, pay with fiat, get USD in their wallet.
Can you also withdraw money back to your card? Or
That will require an integration. I'm sure we will have that. That's not included in this wallet right now,
okay,
though.
okay. Mhm.
But long story short, yes. And then on top of that, on top of the
That's so
abstracted
cool.
accounts. Sorry.
That's so cool that you
Oh yeah.
built it. I really like it. Mhm.
So we have that. Then we also have, I wouldn't necessarily say even bigger, but in combination, just as impactful. In some ways more is our consumer iOS application. It will be followed by an Android application, but that's coming out as well later this summer. And it's going to have like that native wallet system kind of native to it. So
Mhm.
users, these users, especially the normie users that we're promoting Mintify to, are going to be, directly exposed to a very, very simple and familiar sign-in flow and purchase flow. Kind of like they'll feel like they're in like, Shopify or something like that. So
Mhm.
they're immediately introduced with a very, very familiar and welcoming experience. Very important for targeting normies. That first, those first impressions are so important. When
Yeah.
there's like a layer of tech that makes things more difficult, it's very, very important to make sure that those first impressions are strong. So for our abstracted accounts and our iOS app, both of those are coming later this summer. And we will be targeting normies considerably. Mintify itself right now is already in a really great spot. We have the cleanest user experience. It's super simple, yet offers probably more functionality than like anybody else. There are some things that we may not have that other people have, but I believe that there's far more that we have that other people don't have. And that's just a result of like how we've built out the product over the past what 3 years now. Mintify was founded in January of 2022.
That's crazy result for 3 years only.
Thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. And yeah, we've built a product that it's difficult for anybody to replicate. It's difficult for people to move as quick as we do. Our entire infrastructure is modular, so we can add in new features and very, very easily and quickly integrate them with existing features. And not only that, but we can work with partners to integrate like external applications, put them into Mintify, and then expose all of our users to those products as well. So we have a lot of flexibility with the way that we've built out our products, and that definitely puts us in a place that it's difficult for other products to replicate the speed and the efficiency and robustness of everything that we're pushing out. For instance, like if you go to like the Mintify Discord and click on the What's New channel, you'll see we do like anywhere from like one to probably upwards of like four product updates a week. which is, I mean,
That,
it's insane. Our community is always keeping an eye out for that stuff, and they're very happy to see that we are insanely active across all fronts.
Mhm. That's so cool. And I have a lot of questions about minting experience and everything, but first thing that comes to my mind right now is to asking about rewards. And to be honest, like, okay, will like you will grow like insane in the future. Your plans are so huge. Are you planning to launch some token and reward community that's supporting you right now, or how it's working for you? What's your plans on rewarding?
Yeah, so the Mintify Foundation actually has the Mint ecosystem token that was launched in March.
Mhm.
And it's integrated within pretty much everything that Mintify does. The foundation is very explicit that they want it, very organically and naturally embedded into the Mintify experience in ways that drive tangible value to the user.
Mhm.
Things like making your life easier, accessibility things, advanced features and functionality for power users. Of course, like discounted fees. Mintify already has some of, if not like the lowest fees on the market. We have what 0.5% for NFT trades across all chains, and then we have 0.25% for token trades. I believe the next lowest is like Pump Swap, and that's at 0.3% or something like that. And of course, Mintify is like Swapper is cross chain, so there's really like no reason not to not to use it. Um,
Mhm.
but where did I don't remember where did I come from saying that.
Just I realized that you will be growing, yeah, like insanely in the future, and I really like what you are building. I'm super bullish right now, and that's why I ask about rewarding the community who is stuck with you right now, and also what we can do right now to receive like bigger drop or something like this, from the user experience. What should we do right now to, yeah, be rewarded in the future?
Yeah. So there's a couple ways. Right now there is XP, that Mintify XP. So when you're using Mintify products, whether you're trading NFTs or swapping tokens or minting on our launchpad, you earn XP from pretty much all of your actions. It's supernatural.
Mhm.
So go ahead and use Mintify, and you'll start accumulating XP. You can hold our key NFTs, our Mintify key NFTs across each chain. Those will boost your XP on the respective chain. So if you're holding, a bunch of abstract keys, your abstract XP is being boosted by that amount. And it stacks for every key that you're holding. So that is one way. Um, and of course, just I guess to be a little bit more specific, you get XP for like, virtually every action, whether you're bidding or listing or buying NFTs, swapping tokens, bridging tokens. It's pretty much all of it. And then there's another way that we actually just launched. We just launched it last week. We have an entire new rewards dashboard that we're rewarding people for engaging with us on socials, completing
Yeah,
specific
my
quests.
next question would be, Infofy involved or not?
Sorry.
That would be my next question, Infofy involved or not? So you're
Oh,
right about that.
more on that in the future. I can't say too much. We actually do have a couple things that we're working on. I wouldn't call this specifically, so much InfoFi as kind of like Mintify rewards, where we're rewarding people for being like loyal supporters of our brand, whether that's supporting and not just our brand, but also rewarding like loyal product users. Um, so like, engaging on socials, completing certain quests on the platform, whether that's like buying certain assets or holding assets, and a lot more than that too. We're giving badges for being a part of like our NFT communities, and lots more different types of quests for holding NFTs from other communities. So really just rewarding not just Mintify users, which is the priority, but welcoming other users from other communities and ecosystems to come in and get rewards and try out Mintify as well. You keep an eye on that. I mean, we're pushing new quests probably like every couple days. So there's almost always going to be some points to to go ahead and claim in that dashboard. That's at what is it? Rewards.mintify.com.
Hmm. That's pretty huge, and I really, really like it.
Oh, I should
So,
also say, sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I should also say that we actually do have a referral system through that as well. So like you can refer your friends, and you earn like a percentage of all of the points that they earn on the loyalty leaderboard too. So that's a nice way. If you've got like an active community,
Mm-hmm.
you've got friends that are looking for it, you can go ahead and share that referral link with them, and you reap the benefits of their participation as well.
Hmm. Um, so as I see right now, you're building some, pretty comfortable experience for the user. As I see this, right? So I'm entering Mintify, and I have like my page there with a lot of blockchains, and I can switch my tokens inside and everything. So that's pretty amazing that you're doing it so comfortable for the user. So I want to jump next probably to minting experience, and because we don't have like a lot of time, and I really want to talk about this, because before projects, really try to create something interesting with their minting. Right now, I feel like it's some crisis, because it's maybe few beautiful pictures, maybe like video from the founder that I saw in Final Boss, and it was pretty cool, and but still creativity on the very low level right now, considering that we have such an opportunities with blockchain. Remember before you could like mint NFT, and it will be evolving with you, like with time on the blockchain. It was some beautiful storytelling on the blockchain, and I feel like before artists use this minting experience and something, something that they want to show and immerse their user, um, and yeah, help like build reputation of the project with this minting experience. Right now, what tools existing and what Mintify suggests to the projects to make this experience great again, let's say so.
Totally. So for launching with Mintify, it's very easy. It's all super straightforward. We send the creator 2 forms. They fill out the information, and we handle everything else for them. So that
Mhm.
includes all of the customizations within the contract, that like allow list phases, multiple phases. We can snapshot communities for you. We can make them soulbound tokens, trade lock them. Obviously, reveal. We do enforce royalties. We can process like community airdrops. So we can do most of, if not everything, you're going to need. I can also help like assemble metadata for collections. I can do that very easily. So we pretty much handle like everything that a creator is going to need. But there are ways of taking like things into your own hands as well. Um, for instance, there are applications that help you to create your images and metadata. You can opt to do it yourself. Actually, just in the stream I did with Avail just before, they live streamed vibe coding an NFT collection. And so the way that worked was they had all of their trait layers. They then prompted Cursor, an AI coding environment,
Mhm.
with the trait layers and the order of layering, and it assembled the NFT collection. It created their metadata files. All we had to do was upload to IPFS, add it to the contract, and it was good to go. So there are, great tools already, no code tools available. There's also the option to use like AI coding environments. Those are incredibly powerful.
Mhm.
By no means are they perfect. Always, try and check your work as best as possible, or I guess the AI's work, because they do mess up sometimes, but they are very, very powerful, because if you don't know how to code, you can go from zero code to having a pretty complete project very, very quickly. And then, yeah, I mean, otherwise, definitely make use of tools. Definitely make use of your network. Definitely, as we spoke about earlier on, having that community and culture behind what you're building is very powerful. So, activating your network helps. If you have friends in the space and whatnot that can share it with their communities, and spread the word and get people very much interested. Um, Other tools, there's lots of tools. A lot of them I would be hesitant to recommend. Like, I guess you can consider, um, I'm not even going to bring that up, those up. But I would definitely, try and do everything as organically as possible. It's a difficult space in terms of marketing because of what we mentioned before with like the noise of all of the projects you kind of want to filter out. But when it's done organically, that's when you're going to get the best results. That's when you're going to get a sustainable environment post mint, and that's going to like set you up for like the most kind of real growth that you can get. Um, but yeah, that's my
Okay.
thought.
Still a question about user experience because I want in the future to create my own project and I want to make this experience, something, unforgettable, something that people really will be enjoying. And I see a lot of projects right now, like Surjita with his Me Beats, with like a lot of artists with who I talking and interviewing them. They talking about immersive projects. Sorry. Maybe you can tell about something unusual minting experience that we can do with Mintify and what tools, guys, you're using, and maybe you can name like the most unusual minting case that you saw right now, or that people preparing for us, founders preparing for us only.
Yeah, I think I'm following properly. So I mean, for instance, in terms of the minting experience, we do offer our clients the ability to customize their mint page. So our mint pages are static, but of course we can modify the visual elements of them, like pretty much however a team wants. So what we have them do is, they take a look at the page, they write down all of the specs and changes that they want, and then our designers go in and modify them so it creates the experience that they're looking for. Um,
Mhm.
we are going to be introducing more customizations to that kind of experience. Like for instance, maybe the minters are welcomed by a video. You know what I mean? Like a pop-up video giving them links and references to the projects,
Mhm.
or there's some kind of interactive element where you can like uh, unseal like a pack of cards. You know what I mean, to reveal. So
Yeah, I
there's
love it. Unboxing, something like that,
exactly yeah.
mini
So
games, something. Yeah.
yeah. So like there's definitely lots of different ways of going about it. We are going to be doing stuff like that. And I do think the mint experience is important. People want to be greeted by and feel welcomed by something pretty and smooth feeling. You know what I mean? Like they don't want it to be like a janky experience that's ugly. It needs to there's a psychological element to it is what it comes down to. You know what I mean? If somebody is like
Oh, yeah, and especially, when I see like art from just Web 2, like just, from IRL, normal world, I see like, it's exactly sometimes, like most often, it's exactly the same that we are doing in Web 3, but in Web 3, we're trying to extracting money for it from the audience, and they doing it for free, the same interactive, the same, interesting and everything. So I feel like through help of blockchain, we actually need to create some unique experience. That's why people need to join in Web3, because of that experience, because of something that they can't receive in IRL and Web2 world.
yeah, no, completely. And I think it's funny because we're kind of like going full circle because this goes back to the idea that, you know, um, it's more about what blockchain enables you to do rather than
Mhm.
it being blockchain. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I completely agree. And you can do fun stuff that's not as feasible outside of blockchain environments. Like, for instance, like in fact, Mintify CEO Evan just I happened to see a post from him the other day, and somebody was asking on the timeline like, how can I go about doing this and ensuring that it's limited to a fixed amount? Like basically, like I think they wanted to sell something, and they're like, how do you handle the server load and making sure that you don't accidentally sell more than you have the inventory for. And smart contracts are a very, very, easy way of enforcing that because it can't, if you set a supply to 1,000, it cannot go above 1,000. It doesn't matter how many people are on that site clicking the button. It doesn't matter like what kind of delay or lag or whatever that the servers have. There will never be more than 1,000. So that's definitely one of the ways in which it is beneficial to builders. That's not so much on the user experience side, unless you're talking about like the outliers of people that would be buying the excess supply not to get refunded. So it does improve it does improve user experience, um, and in other ways as well. I mean, there's awesome things like Chainlink. What is it, VRF, where you can produce like what is it, verifiably random function, something like that. So like it produces like a verifiably random number where in a lot of cases, in Web 2, we're using, what is it, like pseudo random. So it's technically not random, but it's perceived as random. Um, a little bit of technical stuff there, but there are definitely lots of benefits to leveraging the blockchain, and that's what products and are going to have to be able to tell and show their users. Above all, above like, hey, we're doing this on blockchain. People don't care about that. They just care about what it brings to them.
Exactly. Yeah, super agree with you. Okay, I have two last questions.
Sure.
First, to not forget, it's damn, I already forgot. Wait, yeah, about trends. I still want to ask, like, you see this trends first, and what you notice, like, will it be for usual NFT collections still like big supplies, or the key now is the small supplies? Because obviously sometimes people can't sell like big supply and they trying to do small, but I don't think it's a good decision, because with big supply they can onboard more people and they need to push more, just try more and promote themselves more. So I remember back then it was popular, like open edition, something like that. So what trends you notice from the collection that's preparing right now for the meeting?
Yeah, right now they're definitely smaller supply. I wouldn't isolate specifically what's going on now with where I think things are headed,
Yeah,
because
the last part is more interesting.
yeah, yeah, well, because as we spoke about before, like it's a little bit of a slower market with the summer and everything. I do think that as this market evolves and expands, and new people finally start coming in, whenever that is, maybe when Mintify starts starts promoting to normie consumers, I do think that NFT supplies are going to trend back towards like the 10,000 supply and maybe even higher. It really depends what these collections are doing, whether they're like an IP or gaming or product based.
Just usual NFT collections, like not gaming, just
Gotcha. So yeah, I do think that they're probably going to trend back to around 10,000. I mean, it really comes down to how many people do we onboard, because when you look at like the physical collectible market, or even just the collectible market outside of Web3, I mean, there's tens, probably hundreds of millions of people that are collecting things. You know what I mean? Whereas in Web3, we've got what, like 5 or 10,000 active NFT wallets. So right now there's like in a 10K supply, there's like one NFT for everybody to have one. Um, in the future, when we have millions of people on chain, a 10,000 supply collection is going to feel very, very small.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I
so
agree with you.
when does that happen? I don't know. Not putting a timeline on it. I do say pretty confidently that when it does kick off, 10,000 is going to feel small, and I think projects are probably going to trend back to the higher numbers, because why are you going to kind of shoot yourself in the foot and shoot your community in the foot for that matter?
Exactly. I have, yeah, exactly the same opinion, about that. Especially when I see like or hear like gaming projects that making, only 10K collection. I'm like, how people should play with your game then if you have only 10K? Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
Well, that's where I think things are going to expand even more. Like the things that are really targeting like mass consumer applications, if they want to have like a useful NFT ecosystem, definitely need higher supply. I mean, we've got millions of people gaming, like millions of people in single games at some points. You know what I mean? Like World of Warcraft, and they're not the only one that. Even though I think they are like fizzling out a little bit, but but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, then my last question is okay, I have project, right? And of course I promote it on my audience, I'm building the community and everything. So I'm on the, like, imagine, right, I'm on the level that I'm thinking about launching my collection and everything. So I see Mintify, and I really like that your wallet, this user experience, everything is so comfortable. So I want to collaborate with you. Will help me with attracting audience to my project, especially if we're talking about Web2 audience, how it will be working, and what condition I have to collaborate with the Mintify. Should I pay you in advance, or it's somehow splitting from minting, and I pay percentage to you?
Yeah, sure. So the marketing side of things definitely comes down to like what specifically you're looking to do. Mintify itself is not like we're not a go-to-market agency. We do offer co-promotion support, but we would never like tell a project that this is the extent of your marketing. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
marketing isn't marketing outside of your partners is very important as well. And that's like the partners that come in like Mintify to help support your marketing. That's what it is. It's supporting of your existing marketing, not kind of like being your marketing. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the payments. Yeah, we actually have no upfront costs. The the payment works just through a share of the mint revenue and a $1 platform fee per token that's minted on the user side. So the creator has no upfront cost. The creator does pay the like a percentage of the mint revenue while the mint is active. So the way that we have it is the funds are automatically, the percentage of Mintify funds are automatically routed to our wallet with each mint. So the creator never has to like pay out Mintify. It all happens in real time.
How much is this percentage, if I can ask?
Yeah, of course. Either 5 or 9%, depending on the package.
Uh-huh. Okay. Uh, that's pretty all questions that I have right now. And it was super useful to talk with you. So, thank you so much. And I think we touched all the questions that I wanted. So if you have something to say, to add about Mintify and products that you're preparing, please.
Thank you. You'll first of all definitely thank you very much for having me come on here. Always happy to come on and chat, talk about Mintify, talk about Web3 generally. But yeah, as final thoughts, I mean, definitely go ahead and check out Mintify. We've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot going on in abstract, trade NFTs, trade tokens, cross chain, token to token, like sub 10-second confirmation for even cross chain trading. That means like, if you have a Solana meme coin and you want to buy an abstract meme coin, you don't need to sell your Solana meme coin for Sol, bridge your Sol to ETH on abstract just to buy that. You can literally use your Solana meme coin to buy your abstract meme coin. So that's one thing. We have lots of great projects minting on Mintify. SoFon launches start up this week. We've got more abstract drops coming up as well. Something we actually didn't touch on, but happy to give a shout out on it, is our builder tools. We do have data APIs for pulling all sorts of different NFT, like on-chain and some off-chain NFT metrics, as well as tokens like
What
crypto.
is
And we also have a programmatic API so that if you wanted to, you could embed marketplace functionality into your own application. So for an NFT collection, that means you could like create your own marketplace on your website that taps into all the liquidity on Mintify. So it's like an extension of Mintify on your own site. It's pretty cool, and it's useful for projects that want to create that really personalized custom experience.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, by the way. Can you please explain a bit more how it will be working on practice?
Yeah, for the programmable side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all of our APIs, we have APIs for bidding and listing and buying and transferring. The project developer would take that and they would go in and they can build out their own marketplace for effectively like replicate the functionality that Mintify offers, but on their
Mm-hmm.
own website. So they wouldn't have to send users to like their Mintify link. They could just send users to their marketplace on their website, but it interacts with all of the same liquidity on Mintify. So it's effectively the same thing, but it's a personalized experience for their holders.
I love it so much because I thought about, to create the same for my project, for example, and like, separate say a site where people can create their NFTs and trade their NFTs, sell into another's audience on my site, for example. And if I don't need to create all this new stuff and just can collaborate with Mintify on this point, that's amazing actually. So people just need to use the Mintify wallet to connect to my site, for example, and that's how they creating their NFTs and minting it, right?
It is right now it's a little bit more complex than that. We are building out our SDK, and our SDK is going to make it very, very easy to do these things. Right now, you do have to assemble it yourself. So we offer the APIs for pulling the data and sending the data. But that still requires, a developer to go in and properly assemble all of those mechanics to build out
Mhm.
that experience. So it's not like, it's not a no code experience. You do need to have some development, either
Obviously,
capabilities or whatever. Um, but hey, maybe even with like Cursor, it's going to be possible soon to do that stuff without that development, knowledge. But I would definitely recommend like checking out if it's of interest to you. It very well may be, within the scope. Um, but yeah, it's going to get even easier, especially with the SDK that's coming out. You're going to be able to do a lot more, and it's going to be much more plug and play. Like a widget, for example, being able to like
yeah.
just directly put it on your website.
That's super cool. So if I will connect to Mintify at this point, my collection also will be on Mintify pages, and you can find it on Mintify among other projects, right? I'm
Yep.
asking because a Kid Called the Beast, they use their own marketplace on their site, for example, but the not a problem actually, maybe it was even right decision, but not really decentralized, so during the bear market they removed the collection from all platforms like OpenSea, like Blur, etc., and you could trade their NFTs only on their site. So I don't think it's decentralized decision, because you like kind of lock users on your site. So my question is, like, will these NFTs will appear on Mintify, like regular collections, and you can find them among others on the site, on your
Yeah,
site?
you're for like for a program for like an external marketplace built with Mintify's API.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. All of that exists on both your marketplace and directly on Mintify without your users ever having to go to Mintify.
Can I delete it from Mintify or not? How?
Um, technically, technically yes.
Okay, I got you.
Technically yes.
Oh my God, so many interesting insights from you, to be honest, today. Thank you so much. And I have last um, quick questions that I ask in every my guests. So if you don't mind, it's only 5 questions, like blitz. You don't need necessarily to explain your answers, but yeah, I need to ask. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, choose one option. Full centralization for everyone, for all the world, or full decentralization?
Um, oh, so you mean like my preference?
Mhm.
Um, Decentralization. Definitely decentralized. It would definitely it would have to be done in the right way with I guess like it's like decentralized centralization in a sense, you know what I mean, to make
Yeah,
so that everything can work properly. Like if everything was on chain and everything was trying to talk to each other at the same time, I'm not sure how feasible that is. And again, like not I'm not personally a developer. So having some form of centralized operations. Now, not necessarily managed by a centralized provider, but in such a way that everything is very seamless. I don't know. It's a good question, and that's hard for me to answer. But I'm definitely leaning heavily towards decentralized.
do you think we move into decentralization or decentralization?
Uh, that's difficult. I think Web3, of course, is moving. Very much moving decentralization. Is the world? That's difficult to say. you know, it's definitely a benefit to keep things centralized to, the big powers at play. You know what I mean? They keep their ecosystems closed. They're in full control of all of the assets in their ecosystem. People can't come in and, do anything that's going to implicate them negatively. Um, but that kind of changes when you give up the control that you have to give up to have a decentralized decentralized ecosystem. Um, so I think hopefully we'll see things start to shift more into decentralized systems.
Mhm.
But for the time being, I mean, there is just so much money in centralized systems, and that it's difficult for these companies to convince themselves to break away from it.
Okay. Next question. Full doxing or full undoxing for everyone again? And I see that you are undoxed, so that's interesting. But I know that
I
you're
actually
going on the events and everything. But
yeah, I am technically I am doxxed. You don't. I've been running around all over today, not even physically, just metaphorically. So definitely don't want to see me on camera today. Maybe maybe in the next one. So yeah, no, I do go on camera sometimes. I am technically doxxed, like my face is on the website and whatnot. I don't go out of my way to show my face and whatnot, just because like there are always concerns. You know what I mean? Like people that are doxxed get targeted all the time. So like definitely
yeah,
not asking for that. But let me think. If I let me see how I can answer the question: everybody doxxed or everybody undoxxed? I think I would prefer. It's a difficult question. I think I would prefer everybody doxxed, because it's so difficult. There's trade-offs with both of them. So like if everybody's doxxed, that's nice. You know who you're dealing with. It's a lot easier to trust people, and it's a lot easier to work with people. But at the same time, it becomes much easier for everybody to be targeted. On the other hand, kind of like the polar opposite. I mean, you don't know for a fact who you're dealing with. It's harder to trust people when you don't have their actual identity and can't like hold it to them. Hold their actions to them. But at the same time, there's a higher level of security. I think it would be amazing, and maybe there's already a protocol for this. Not sure. Is if there was some kind of way to dox yourself to a decentralized protocol where people can then see that you've doxed yourself to that protocol, have the faith that you are a real person, that you have positive intentions without actually having to reveal your identity. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that would
absolutely.
be some kind of like, I don't know, like on-chain KYC, where you're submitting your identity information. It is verified and stored, but it is not unlocked unless you say, break a law. You know what I mean? When the
Centralization, what you're talking about.
a centralized, decentralized environment. So, like for instance, and this is completely like off the top of my head, but this could look like, I don't know, you have a set of like whatever, like multi-sig signers. You know what I mean? And in order for someone's KYC information to be released, like a certain number of those people have to sign. Now that is technically it's centralized because you have like that central focus that's approving things and rejecting things, but at the same time, it's not like one single entity that is controlling this stuff. It's a group of individuals. So yeah, I think if I had some flexibility in the option, I'd say everybody doxed. Um, or sorry, if I had flexibility, I'd say everybody undoxed, but
Mhm.
using that on-chain KYC. If there's no flexibility, everybody dox themselves. It'll make my life a billion times easier to know and have confidence in the people that I'm working with.
For
Um,
real? I don't know. I don't have this experience. I even like didn't check are you doxed or not because I'm just maybe I'm trusting people too much because but at the same time I feel like even people who are doxed or who doxed, sorry, they don't deserve trust so much because just they doxed, something like that. But I feel like what you're talking about this partly. Doxing, it's work on the events, for example, right? Like Kyra, by the way, he's just commented, and he's like attending on events, but for the audience, for the like um, big amount of people, he's undoxed. So I think it's a cool decision, for crypto.
Yeah, and even on the undocked side of things, it's not even necessarily having their identity, but being able to like, being able to like kind of like back test their identity. Like for instance, before like Mintify integrates or partners with a protocol, it's very helpful and in many times a requirement that they dox themselves to our legal team, because our legal team simply, they need that confidence that they can hold accountability to somebody if the counterparty does something wrong. Because of course, Mintify is a US based company. We have liabilities, you know what I mean? So we have to make sure that, in every case possible, that liability is not on Mintify. And that, of course, requires having the identity of those that we're working with. So it's not even necessarily about that, but being able to hold accountability and also being able to like say like, okay, like this person is, this is their name, this is what they've done in the past, this is all of their successes. And that's kind of like where a layer of confidence comes from.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like this answer. And my next question is, if you would meet Satoshi Nakamoto, what you would ask or talk with him?
Oh my goodness, some really great questions. What would I ask? I would ask, or okay, perspective or circumstance. Is it today that I'm meeting him?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so it's today with Bitcoin at $105,000. So I guess I would ask, like, did you ever anticipate that Bitcoin would be at over $100,000? Did you ever anticipate that it would take off to the extent that it has? And I think we'd probably get some interesting answers. For instance, like, would Satoshi have done something to make like block times faster or to make the network just more scalable generally, knowing that it was going to be so massively, or I guess not massively yet, but increasingly adopted over the past 12 and a half, 13 years, or whatever. So yeah, that's probably what I would ask. I think there's some interesting stuff that we'd probably hear. I mean, I'm not sure how into ordinals and everything you are, but there's like OPCat that people are talking about that like can like unlock Bitcoin scalability, but then OPCat has its own problems. Like, for instance, I believe in another instance where, please correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. But like if OPCat was launched today, I'm pretty sure that Bitcoin would not like. It can't sustain that kind of activity. Like the network itself would just get so congested that people
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be able to use it. So, I do think that Satoshi probably would give a pretty fun answer there and maybe even enlighten people a
Mm-hmm.
little bit with like his like, or his, I guess, or her, we really don't know, perspective being the founder
Oh,
of the
that's
team.
interesting.
But yeah, no, that's what I would really like. I'd love to know. I'd love to know if this was the intention, that Bitcoin is gonna, rally massively forever and not really be possible to use in its native form for applications, because Bitcoin doesn't have a native programmable layer. So like, and this is an entirely another conversation that I can go off on for a long time. I won't do that. But there's some pretty cool things that companies are doing in Bitcoin that unlocks programmability without any true programmability. So like combining multi-sig wallets and time locks and covenants and all these interesting things, you can create really, really complex systems that do very specific things without having that programmable language. So I don't know. That's what I would ask, though. I would ask, did you intend for this? Did you believe this is where things were headed? And would you have done anything differently if you knew for a fact that it was going to reach like this level of adoption?
I think you would have interesting conversation, because the most of like popular answer that I hear, it's I would ask him his seed phrase, and the most unusual theory that I heard as an answer on this question is that Satoshi already dead, and you're the first who said maybe it's a woman. That's I remember it. I like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
very well done. We have absolutely no idea. Genuinely, we have no. All we know is that, or at least I guess technically we don't even know this, but we're highly confident that they are either not around anymore or are no longer actively contributing to protocols publicly. And they did that. I remember like when the HBO interview came out where they like supposedly revealed Satoshi Nakamoto.
So
Um,
boring.
yeah, I saw a bunch of art, like research pop up that had been around for a while, but people were like, disproving the HBO claims through them, and it's like people analyzed the way Satoshi wrote, like his the way that he typed his messages, and from what I understand, they haven't found really anybody else that's speaking in that same, I wouldn't call it a dialect, but with that same with the same linguistics or whatever that he used in his writings. So unless he or she was being very intentional and speaking in such a way that they were not replicating outside, it does seem like they're no longer around or just no longer active in any like public setting. So that I think is what we're like have the highest confidence on. Whether they're dead or alive, I don't know. I think we'll find out if they're dead or alive if Satoshi coins ever move before quantum computing breaks Bitcoin.
Do
I
you
don't
believe?
think I don't think quantum computing is going to break Bitcoin. I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't think so, to be honest,
yeah,
because
like
too many, yeah, too many blocks.
like technically it could, but that means that the Bitcoin developers didn't do something about it in time, and I'm confident that I'm confident that they will, because that's effectively their job.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Okay, next question is what art you would choose for your house?
What like to hang in my
Art,
house?
artist, yeah, like
Um,
house.
there are so many artists that I like. It's difficult for me to pick one or even a handful, but the one that always comes to mind, because I guess I just have some kind of like emotional connection to it. It's nostalgic. I always mention Chris's Neon Cat collection. He has specifically the neon or nyan balloons. I have a decent little collection of those. I think I hold like a couple of each of them, and there's probably like 10 or 20 different versions of them, and I love those. I definitely would like to like just like put them all over my wall, because they're they all use the same structure, but they're all different types of themes and different colors, and they're incredibly different. So I think that would look amazing, like covering an entire wall. Um, Other stuff, I mean, like I can go on forever about like some of the art that I find is beautiful, like Refik Anadol. His animated art is incredible. I mean, he was did a collaboration with I think like the Museum of Modern Art and
Mm.
everything like that. There's so many. I can't even begin to start. Like Fidenzas, I absolutely love Fidenzas. I can't say that I would ever have 40 ETH to spend on one or whatever the floor price is right now.
What's the high plank for you to spend in an art?
Uh, not much. Not much. Personally. I love art. I'm not big on the it's funny to say because like I'm a trader at heart. That's like how I came into the space. But I'm not big on like the speculative nature of NFTs, because for me, when I find an NFT that I really like,
You
um,
stuck with them, like you're all
I don't want to sell it. I have like an emotional
forever
binding.
holders. Yeah.
Exactly, and it turns me into like an instant community member. So I have to be very careful about what I buy, because it's unlikely that I'm going to want to sell that if I liked it enough to buy it. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
higher price for the art for you, for example, because I one of my questions is how much you earn from your project and crypto, but I don't think like it's I can ask this from you, because it's like you're talking from the big company and you will talk about your salary, which is not very interesting, I think. So let's talk about art. How much is like the biggest price you can pay for art?
Um, I can tell you that the most expensive NFT that I bought recently was for like probably about half an ETH.
Mhm.
Um, so definitely definitely over $1,000 at the time that I paid for it. But there's other stuff like I was silly enough, and in retrospect, it's very easy to say you were being silly. And I don't regret it because I love my PFP, but my OMB. Um,
Yeah, Bitcoin, I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, my OMB is I literally bought the Pico top. I paid way too much money for it, and I'm down like I'm probably down like 80 or 90% on it. So I'm definitely very careful. But when I see something that I love, I do absolutely buy it. Like just the other week, I found a collection just trending, and it wasn't even high up trending, but it caught my eye because I loved the art. I swept a couple of them. It was very, very cheap. It was like 0.005 ETH or something like that.
Mhm.
But when I find something that I really like, I am definitely interested in acquiring it, providing that it is within my interest range.
Okay, that's all my questions actually. So thank you so much, and yeah, it was a pleasure to talk with you.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me come on here. Definitely happy to run it back again whenever you need a guest. Feel free to hit me up whenever. But yeah, really really enjoyed it. Awesome questions at the end. I was not expecting that. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah, whenever you need some support, you can also hit me, like, I don't know, and I will be happy to collaborate with you, because it's like I really I didn't know that you're building such an amazing stuff, and now I'm happy to know it. Hope the audience as well. Thank you guys for supporting, joining on Abstract, on X, and YouTube, and yeah, see you tomorrow actually on Art Talks.
Thank you so much. Be well.
Yeah, bye bye.